Okay, guys. So today we have a very special guest, Dr. IKE REIGHARD, all the way from Atlanta, right? So I'm not sure if he knows. So my first sales trainer is Zig Ziglar, and Dr. IKE actually co-authored a book with Zig. So Daily Insights. If you don't have it, everybody should have it. I'm having it here somewhere in my office. But Daily Insight is one of the books that till today that I read. So, Dr. Wright, are you here? Welcome to Los Angeles. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Listen, I'm so glad to be with you. Are you kidding me? Listening to all this has got me so fired up and excited because what you're doing, listening the way that you're affirming each other, encouraging each other, we all need that. And especially during this time of this COVID-19, because we're all in brand new territory, we're all trying to figure out what is the future going to hold. And again, to go back to the quote that you were sharing just a moment ago with Mary, the full quote for me is, the day that your memories are greater than your dreams, you're dead in the water, because we're always swimming. We're either going upstream or we're going downstream. And you know, any dead fish can float downstream, but it takes a fighter to go upstream. And in the world that we're in today, it's a fight. It's a constant adjustment of your sales, what you're trying to do and what you're trying to be able to accomplish. And so I'm fired up to be with you, Rudy, and you are a fantastic interviewer. And you ask tremendous questions. And so I want to say to you, as I'm talking, I love you asking questions like this rather than me just doing a monologue. And if people have questions, man, I'd love for them to write that in so that we can talk about where we are today. Because, you know, Rudy, people are going to come out of this and you're either going to be bitter about what's happened or you're going to be better. And I choose to be better. I choose to not let those circumstances dominate me. And Rudy, that's so important because psychologists tell us that we either have what is called an external locus of control or we have an internal locus of control. And when you think about your life being controlled, you don't want outside forces being able to control your life. You want to take control of your emotions. You want to be able to take control of your fears that you might have, of your misgivings, of not feeling like you're enough. So many people struggle with that today. I'm just not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking enough. You know, I'm not in my career where I needed to be. And so people struggle with those kinds of things. And when you have that external locus of control, that means circumstances are dominating you. You don't want circumstances dominating you. You want to dominate your circumstances. And the way that you do that is you have that internal locus of control. You make sure that you're keeping control of your emotions, because if you can keep control of your emotions to a tremendous extent, you can control the destiny of your life and not become just subject to the things that are going on in this world. So to me, it's really important. So I'm here today to inspire you. I'm here today to be able to share any insights that I might have. And Rudy, where I'm so fortunate is I get to meet people like you, and I get to meet other people who will sometimes say one thing and it changes my whole perspective. And I go, wow, I've never thought about that. I want to give you a great example. Can I do that, Rudy? All right. So I have a friend named Horst Schulze. Horst Schulze is the man who put the Ritz-Carlton on the map. He was the general manager over all the Ritz-Carltons, and he was the guy that started creating the little scorecard that if you ever go to a Ritz-Carlton, ask one of the people who work there to show you their little scorecard. And it's certain things they do every day to make sure that they're really on their game at the Ritz-Carlton. And so they have a huddle each morning. And so each morning they will take one of those things and they'll talk about it in their huddle because they want to keep fresh. And Horst Schulze came up with this quote because he wanted the people who worked at the Ritz-Carlton to realize they were just as valuable as the people who stay at the Ritz-Carlton. And the Ritz-Carlton, you know, they really cater to a more advanced clientele in a lot of ways when it comes to economics. You know, it's an expensive place to stay. And so they've trained their staff. And here's what Horst taught them. He said, we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. I don't want you to think, well, you know, I'm a bag person that's bringing in things. I'm a valet. You know, I clean a room. I do all of these things. He was saying you're just as valuable as a person as anyone who's going to stay here. And when you get that kind of mentality, what a difference it makes. So recently, Rudy, I had dinner with Horst and his wife. And as we were talking, I said, so Horst, what's one thing that you would tell me that's really shaped how you've done this? Because now he owns this uber expensive line of hotels and he deals with people around the world. And he said, here's what I would tell you, Ike, never go to work to do work. Go to work to create excellence. And when he said that, that was one of those light bulb moments for me that I'm thinking, how many times have I gone to work just to do the work that I had to do, rather than walking through the door and going, how do I do this with excellence? Whatever it is I do today, my interactions with my coworkers, how do I have excellence? How do I make sure that I'll look them in the eye? I was listening to you speak life into the people who are working with you, because you were saying, well, I remember when you first came. And listen, I've gone into the bathroom and not just cried, I've gone into a bathroom and thrown up. So, you know, all of us have experienced those kinds of times. And to hear you encouraging her and to say, I see how far you've come. We all need people to believe in us, because this world likes to poke a lot of holes in our balloon. And it takes a lot of compliments and encouragements, and especially thoughtful ones, where you don't just throw out platitudes to throw them out, but you find a way to make it specific to a situation. Here's how I saw you handle this situation. And you begin to build that in your team. It's absolutely remarkable what can happen.
That's awesome. Dr. Ike, are you still there?
I thought I'd lost you for a moment.
Go ahead, Dr. Ike. So
Yeah.
For many people don't know you, can you do a quick introduction about your background so they
Sure.
not everybody knows? Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm a movie stand-in for Brad Pitt, and not many people know that. It's all the scenes that are shot from behind Brad Pitt, all right? But I have a background in being able to take care of people. I've been a pastor for 45 years, and I've been blessed to pastor what are referred to as mega churches through the years. And then I was asked to come into the corporate world and become the chief people officer for a company called Home Bank Mortgage Corporation. And we were a company that went from being a $6 million company in a few years to being, we went public on Wall Street with a cap of $278 million. So from $6 million to $278 million in about a 10-year period. So the company experienced a lot of success. And what we built our company around, I was the chief people officer. We were determined that we were going to be one of the best places to work in America. And we were going to measure that against Fortune magazine's 100 best places to work in America. And so if you're familiar, every year around January, the last part of January, Fortune comes out with that magazine, and they will choose the 100 best places in America. And now they're doing it all over the world. It's the 100 best places to work in Germany, the 100 best places to work in Europe, just all kinds of different lists. And it's not easy to be on that list. And Rudy, all of it, unfortunately, I found out you couldn't just take someone to dinner and get on the list. You had to really have the culture within your organization, because what makes a great place to work is if the people who work there say it's a great place to work. And we were at the point where 70% of our new hires were coming from referrals from people who worked for us. And they were their family members and they were their friends. They loved working at our company so much that they were the best recruiters that we had. And so we got as high as number 14 on the list. You're on there with people like Aflac. You're on there with people like the Ritz-Carlton. You're on there with Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Nordstrom's, the Starbucks, you know, amazing companies. And so I would go and present what we were doing in our company to create that atmosphere. Because, you know, your key job is you want to be able to source people. And you know, the sourcing for us would come when that magazine would come out. We only had 1,400 people working for us. And when that magazine would come out, we would average 1,200 people a month for the next 6 months that would apply at our organization because they read that article. And so sourcing is a key component to building any organization. You gotta source the right people. Then you've got to get those people engaged. And you know, we know from Gallup that 56% of all people working today in this country, 56% of them have no degree of engagement. They just say, I'm coming to work because you pay me. I'm going to do what you pay me to do, and I'm not going any further. 56% of people say, I'm not engaged in my job. But 16% of people say, not only am I not engaged in my job, I am actively disengaged in my job. And I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of working with a disengaged coworker, because it is brutal. Jim Collins calls them OBTs, on board terrorists, meaning they're in your organization and they're trying to blow it up while you're paying them a salary. So you add those two stats together and you've got about a 71% disconnect rate, 72% right off the bat. That many people are disengaged in their jobs. And so what you want to do is you want an engaged workforce. So you source for people who fit your culture. You know, you always source for people who have character. You can train for skills, but character's the big deal. Chick-fil-A, I have a lot of friends there. Dan Cathy, the CEO, was a member of my church. And Dan Cathy, in one of the meetings, they said what they look for is like an iceberg. And you know, when you think about an iceberg, scientists tell us only 20% of the iceberg is above water. And they say that skills are the 20% above water, skills. But they say that bigger portion, that 80%, is character. And they're going to hire to character at Chick-fil-A. They're going to make sure that they're getting the right kind of people. So you want to be able to source, you want to be able to engage, and then you want to be able to retain. And being able to retain people, that's why what you do, Rudy, is so genius. I can look back there at your 5 core values and commitments on the wall, and our core commitments and all of those things. And all of those are good because you are a growing organization. Here's what you know, Rudy. Real power is in the hands of those that are learning, not in those that are learned, that think they know it all, that think, well, there couldn't possibly be a better way of doing things, or I would already be doing it. There's so many different things, and technology. the way you are running this Zoom meeting today. You've become an expert in something that you might have only sparingly used before, because you know it's a communication tool. And so again, my job at Home Bank as the Chief People Officer, and I headed up the Office of People and Culture, was build a company for 1,400 people that's so good that we get to hire the best, we get to train the best, and then we keep the best. Our turnover was virtually nothing. The only thing that we would do is have people who would come and hire our rookie loan officers, because our rookie loan officers were doing 4 times what other rookie loan officers were doing around the country. And so once we got them into the system and they were there 2 or 3 years, they stuck with us, and they were there until the company eventually, sold on Wall Street, and then they did a couple of other things with the company. So, those are huge things to me. So I pastor a church. I worked for a home bank. I work with this wonderful group called Your Home Sold Guaranteed. And I work with Must Ministries, which is a humanitarian organization in Atlanta. And Rudy, from March the 15th through the end of June, we fed over 55,000 people, many of them multiple meals, because with the COVID going on, and we have a homeless shelter that we help people with that are without homes, and we help people to get jobs. 680 people got jobs last year through our organization, and it represented $11.4 million back into the economy. So I get to do all of those things, and I'm constantly on the go. I sleep about 4 or 5 hours a night because there's too much excitement to stay asleep. I like being able to be with people like you and to be able to learn from you. So it's exciting. Right now we're in the middle of summer lunch. We're feeding right now about 6,500 children a day. 6,500 children each day are being fed through our organization. So when I said 55,000 people, that child is only going to count 1 time. So that's the breadth of our organization. But we're feeding them all over the 10 weeks. All of those children are getting breakfast and lunch from us over that 10 weeks. So it's about a $600,000 project that we do in feeding kids. So those are just some of the things that we're out there doing right now.
Yep, so I put up here on the screen, this is the Must Ministries, one of the nonprofits that Dr. Ike pioneering and leading, and that's what he's talking about. And here at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty in Los Angeles, in California, we'd like to partner up with you. I know you've been working with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty in Atlanta. I think they're very close supporter of Must Ministry, correct?
Oh, they are big time. As a matter of fact, we are building a brand new homeless shelter because 80% of the people in our area that are without homes are women and children, which is not normally who you think about when you think about someone that is without a home, but that's our particular demographic in our area. And so we're building a new shelter. It's altogether about a $20 million project. And Todd Walters and Your Home Sold Guaranteed finished out our fundraising effort and committed $40,000 over the next 3 years to help us be able to provide that home for women and children and men that are going to be there. But we're going to be able to keep families together in family rooms. So we're changing the dynamic of how we've done things. And we've got fantastic people that are backing us. Arthur Blank, that owns the Atlanta Falcons, they're one of our backers. Home Depot is headquartered here in Atlanta. They're one of our major backers. The people at Coca-Cola, they have what's called the Woodruff Foundation, which is Coca-Cola money. They gave us $1.5 million to be able to help build this shelter. And so we're excited about what we do. And Rudy, right now we're feeding families. Now we're feeding children and we're doing our work, but we're feeding roughly 4,000 families a month right now through our programs that we're doing. So you've got the homeless shelter where we're feeding them 3 meals a day in our kitchen. And then you've got the summer lunch program and all the other things I've told you, the 4,000 roughly families that are coming each month. And it's been overwhelming with COVID, but Rudy, let me tell you, the generosity of people right now that are stepping up and going that extra mile. You know, it's that number one right there on your wheel. It's the second mile service, which, you know, that terminology comes out of Chick-fil-A, you know, having second mile service. Can I share some things with you on that, Rudy, or do you have a question right now?
Yes, no, please. The reason we'd like to have you, Dr. IKE, here today, together, let's go through our core values. And the reason we feel in alignment with you is because truly we believe here at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty that your business is designed for others. Your business is designed for other people. So yeah, Dr. Ike, let's speak about the philosophy behind Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty here.
All right, so like the second mile service, that's a Chick-fil-A idea, and they take it out of a story in the Bible where Jesus was speaking, and he said, if someone makes you carry their backpack, think of it that way, if they make you carry their backpack a mile, then you offer to carry it 2 miles. And the idea behind that, Rudy, was that the Romans controlled that world in Jesus' time. And the Romans had a right to be able to conscript any person living in the country and say to them, come carry this backpack. And so, and I mean, it was large. It had all their knapsack. They were a very mobile army. And so wherever they were traveling, they could just point and go, Rudy, you're going to come over here and pick up this backpack. And so what Jesus said was, the second mile is that you go that extra mile. And you know, the Romans did something called the Appian Way. So they created all this road system that was pretty amazing. And so when those Jews who were under that Roman rule were asked to carry it, it was going to be an interruption and a disruption to your life, the same way that we're going through disruptions right now. And so Jesus said, so if you have to carry it 1 mile, then go ahead and go the second mile. So the way that Chick-fil-A does that in their restaurants is they know that you expect a clean restaurant. They know that you expect tasty food when you go there. Their extra mile service is they're going to meet you when you come through the door, and they're going to greet you. Whenever you ask them for anything or to do something, they will always respond with, it's my pleasure. That's their tagline. Anytime a customer asks them for something and you say thank you, they go, it's my pleasure. So that's an extra mile. If you're in their restaurant, someone will come around and you know, pour you some more tea or freshen up your Coca-Cola. They go that extra mile. They take care of pregnant moms that are walking in and they've got kids. You can call ahead and they'll have you a table ready. Those are the second mile kinds of things. So I would ask you, in the world of being a realtor, then what is it that you can do to go that second mile? How is it that you could really just, you know, give them knock your socks off service and really catch their attention? There's a book called The Referral Engine. I can't remember the author right now, but Rudy will probably look it up even while I'm talking. But in The Referral Engine, it's a book that's written about how do you create a chain of people, you know, giving referrals to you. Because as all of us know, we all live by referrals. I do as a pastor. You know, that people will invite somebody to church and go, oh man, you love our church. We want you to come in here. We want you to visit it. But in that book, the guy tells the story. He says, my wife and I have bought coats at REI, you know, the outdoor outfitter. And he said, we bought them when they were on sale in the summer. And knowing that one day when winter would get here, we'd be, you know, wearing those coats. That's the guy right there. And he said, so finally it's a cool day. My wife and I put our coats on. We're going to go out. We're going to go walking. And while we're walking, she reaches inside her inside pocket and she feels something. And she pulls out a letter. Normally, the only thing you pull out of an inside coat pocket is a little strip of paper that says Inspector Number 1 or Inspector 99. But instead, she pulls out, get this, a handwritten letter. And the handwritten letter said, to the woman who is wearing this coat, I want you to know what a fine garment it was. I helped to do the stitching. I helped to do the work on the buttons. I know you must feel like a goddess wearing this coat. And I just wanted you to know that I was thinking about that customer who would one day wear this coat. Now imagine what that would do in making you think, you know what? I love that kind of care. I love that kind of empathy. I'm going to buy more coats from there. And he said, of course, and he tells the story in the book, he says, now, of course, you know, that's who we order all of our coats from because they were great. The first time I got to tell that story, Rudy, I was speaking to a group of clothiers, who do the suits and everything. And these were the top salespeople from a lot of different companies in the country, Las Vegas. And I told them that story. When I told that story, man, ink pens were writing like crazy because they were clothiers. You know, what could we do? Because a lot of them said, I always write my client a note and say, I hope you enjoyed your suit. But how many of you are putting it in a place that the first time that person ends up wearing it, they're going to find that note and be reminded of, you know, who you are and what you do. So second mile service, you know, in your world is all of those follow-ups. And I'm sure that if you sat there and said, if we were really wanting to impress someone, what is the second mile service that we could do? Now, Rudy, the people at Chick-fil-A, they call it serve, just S-E-R-V-E. And here's what they say they try to do with second mile service. We want to see and shape the future. And so they're always talking about, and think about what you asked me to do today, the vision, the mission, the values. The vision, the mission, the values. And they love to talk about great visionaries in their meetings. And they'll go around and who's someone, you know, that is a tremendous visionary? And they'll tell a story about that person. So the S in serve, see and shape the future. The E, engage and develop others. And listen to what they said. If you do not develop others, you will never achieve your mission. If your mission is so small that you can achieve it, I don't think that's a God-given mission. There's no way I can achieve my mission without tons of people helping me. And when people ask me all the time, so how do you pastor a church? How do you write books? How do you go out and go speaking? How do you do must? How do you do your home so guaranteed? I also work as the chief ethics officer for a company called IST that has 1,800 employees. And when people ask me that question, I always go, because of the people I have around me. And that's the key. See, John Maxwell says, I don't care how good you are. I don't care how much energy you have. At some point, you're going to max out. At some point, the law of the lid is going to catch up with you. Then he says, your success or failure is going to be predicated upon the people that are the closest to you. And so making sure that you have the right people that you can engage and develop the others. And this was another statement that you'll love, Rudy. True growth does not occur until you invest in others. True growth in you as a person doesn't occur until you invest in others. And you know, I say all the time, anyone wrapped up in themselves makes a real small package. You need to be caring about other people. You need to be helping other people achieve their dreams. And as my mentor, Zig Ziglar, said, If you help other people get out of life what they want out of life, they in turn are going to help you to get it out of life. And he says, but you never use that as manipulation. You use it as your philosophy of life. I do it because it's the right thing to do. So the question is, how much time do you spend developing others? And Peter Drucker said, the most important decision that leaders make is who does what. You know, you get the right people on the bus, you get the right people doing the right jobs, and that's so important. Them was served, the R, and this is huge for Chick-fil-A. And boy, they go through some criticism when they do this. They reinvent continuously. Now I'm going to blow your mind. During the COVID-19 for Chick-fil-A, now, you know, you couldn't go into their restaurants, right? Their overall business is up 40%. They are up 40% because they reinvented. They've invented all these spaces where you can call ahead. You can put your order on your app. And then when you come into the parking lot, it automatically picks you up and you just say, I'm in slot number 11, I'm in slot number 15, and they're bringing your meal. And they're doing more of the meals that you can take and prepare as a family at home, where it's not just all done for you, but you get to go into the kitchen and you get to cook. They're always changing the menu. And one of the things I loved on their menu was their coleslaw. And they took it off, and I challenged Dan Cathy on it. I said, Dan, why did you take coleslaw off the menu? And he said, because only old people like it. And I went, God, I guess that was true on me. So here's their deal, Rudy, on reinvent continuously. Possess a never-ending quest for improvement. And then they tell you to ask this question: what needs to change at your home sold guaranteed that would make the single greatest improvement? What would it be? And then ask this question on a personal basis: what needs to change in me so that I can inspire others on my team? And then, so then they gave like different dimensions of reinvention. You know, yourself, your systems, which is your process, your structure. Always remember, the size of your organization is determined by the structure of your organization. It's even true in the animal kingdom. You know, your structure is your skeleton. So, you know, the size of your organization is going to be determined by the structure that you're building. The V in the serve was value, results, and relationships. And they said they should be viewed as equals, because sometimes people are just all about results, right? And then you've got relationships. So think about when you've got a boat and you got a boat motor behind you, you have a wake on each side. If you want to ride smoothly in that motorboat, you make sure that you've got your engine trimmed so the wake is equal on each side. That, you know, your processes and everything that you're doing is over here, and your results, and then your relationships are over here. And if you do not have those things in balance, then it's going to be a rough ride on the water for you. So make sure you've got those things right. And then the last is the E in serve, embody the values. And they made this statement: if you do not do this one, then forget the other four. If you do not embody the values, because people are not going to follow, because it violates the trust rule. Because and trust is, if you're telling me to do something, then I trust that you're doing it as well. If you tell me to follow the rules in the organization, then I trust as the leader of the organization that you're following the rules. And here's what I found, Rudy: no one person can build a great organization, but one person can tear it down. And I've seen great companies be absolutely destroyed because of bad decision making. And, you know, Rudy, the trust thing is so important, because your level of trust in your organization determines your speed of change. And we have to change. That's, I mean, I was with Stephen Covey one time, and he said, I'm going to talk about change today. And there were people in the room who kind of groaned, the guy, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he said, oh, if you don't like the word change, do you like the word irrelevant better? And everybody kind of took a deep breath. And everything is always changing. And sometimes you have to change things on a dime. The trust in that organization, you got a high level of trust, you can do your life like a ski nautique. You can just whip that boat around. But if you have a low level of trust, it's like turning an oil tanker. You got to have a half-a-mile arc to be able to get it done.
So how do you do it, Dr. Ike? How do you develop trust in an organization like that?
You keep your word. Trust is about, can I believe that you will do what you tell me you're going to do? When my girls were growing up, I would look at them and I would make promises to them. And I didn't make a lot of promises, but I made promises. And I would say, I promise you. I was creating trust by making promises and fulfilling those promises. Because here's what I knew, Rudy, and one day it happened in both my girls' life. There was a decision they were trying to make. And it was a big decision. And when I could look at them, because I had kept all of my promises, and say, I promise you, if you do that, you're going to really regret it. It carried a lot more weight than some guy who was always breaking promises. Oh yeah, we're going to go to the park. Never do it. Oh, I'm going to take you to a ball game, and you never do it. I'm going to come to your school play, and you never do it. When you break promises, you destroy trust. And no relationship can exist without trust in it. You can have a marriage that's a civil war, and you can still be married to each other, but trust is at the core of any healthy relationship. And the key word there is healthy. So I build trust by keeping my word. I build trust by coming through for my teammates. I build trust by going that second mile. I build trust by doing things that I think would really bless someone. For instance, one of my staff members had his family in this weekend. And so I called him. He's my children's director. And I said, I understand your family's there. Yeah, they're here. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take them out to dinner on me, because we're not meeting in person right now. And his family loves to come to the services, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take them out to dinner on me, and I'm picking up the tab, and I want you to take your whole family. And it's a unique family because 4 of the children have been adopted from other countries who have severe special needs. And so this is a family with a great deal of empathy and compassion. And so for that staff member, speaking and doing an act of service, that was his love language. Know the love language of people around you. And if you haven't read that book, get that book by Gary Chapman. It's a wonderful book about understanding that everybody has different love languages. For me, it's words of affirmation. For someone else, it might be an act of service. So there's all kinds of different ways, but you build that trust by knowing people and being there for people. Rudy, I still think the greatest compliment that we can get is when someone that we really, really, really value their opinion looks at us and says, I want to thank you for being there. I want to thank you for being there for me. Because when you're there for someone, that means your face was in their space. You are right where they are. That builds trust tremendously, that you're there for people in the good times and the difficult times. So second mile, that's building trust, and that's building that relationship and building that sense of family, and knowing that no family's perfect. There's not a perfect family, but that you work through those things. You get to know each other. You read those books like the 5 Love Languages, and you find out you do DISC. you do DISC and you don't just use it as like a little pop, psychology kind of thing, but you really study DISC and you find out how to blend that team together, because you need all of those different types of temperaments in order to have a high performing team. So, second mile service, getting to know the people around you, that's second mile service.
Okay, Dr. Ike, so let's walk through this, the 5 core values here at your home sold guaranteed realty, and enlighten us. So you speak deep about the second mile service, and so everybody, and you guys, if you guys have any question, make sure this is just a conversation between us and Dr. Ike here, so we make it very, very informal here. And then Dr. Ike, you touched a little bit just now about embrace continual improvement.
Yes.
Right, that's basically from Chick-fil-A, right? In any business.
Kaizen, is that the way, the Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. And here's why that's important, because there's a law in the universe called entropy. And the law of entropy, really, if you boil it down, it says, if something is not getting better, it's going to get worse. And think about empty houses. Empty houses decay faster than houses that have a room full of kids all over the place. There's something about nature that abhors a vacuum, I believe. And so when you are continuously improving, that law of entropy, and it's part of the law of thermodynamics, and I'm not smart enough to go there, Rudy. I'll let you do the research on that. But it's saying that you can't just call time out. So I tell people all the time that life is like an escalator. You got one side going up and you got one side going down. And you can't just say, well, I'm going to call time out and just stand in the middle. Because you're either getting better or you're getting worse according to the law of entropy. Why do people exercise? And why do people continue to exercise? I think a lot of us probably wish you could do it one time and then that's all you'd have to do. But it's a continual thing that you're doing because you're building up muscle. And one of the best ways to build up muscle is resistance training. And right now in our world, we're going through a lot of resistance training with all the things that we're facing in our country. And we're facing things with the economy, and we're facing a lot of people. If you make under $40,000 a year in Georgia, 40% of the people lost their jobs. So if you make $40,000 or under, 40% of those people are unemployed. How are they going to be able to, to pull things together? So resistance training can actually work to your benefit. And there's some benefits that all of us in going through this time, I think that we're going to learn from. But Rudy, I want to go back for 1 second, because in the material that you sent me, that Todd and all of us worked on together, on the second mile service, there were the bullet points that were there. Exceed our clients' expectations and never cut corners. Just never cut corners. Make it easy for our team members to deliver that second mile service. So when we're all working together and we're all lifting each other up, what a difference that makes. And then be exceptional stewards of the revenue for the shareholders in the organization. Vitally important, stewardship. And then walk the walk and talk the talk by going that extra mile in the community. So part of the philosophy, when Todd and I worked on some of these things, of the second mile service, was around that whole idea of serving the community, raising money for the community. That's a second mile. People expect you to sell real estate. People expect you to do all of those other things, but they're not expecting you to go out and do these things. And when, like raising money and doing what you're doing for the LA Children's Center there and those kinds of things. And so what you're doing, Rudy, is you're creating what I call positive presumption. And you probably heard me say this before, but if I said to you, used car salesman, do you think that'd be positive or negative? Well, it'd be a negative presumption on people's part. They're going to try to, cheat. If you even said a realtor, they're probably going to go, well, they're just trying to get that percent. you know, and that's what they're focused on. So it's probably negative. And listen, let's go where I live, a preacher. If you say, what's your opinion of a preacher? All they do is preach on money. I brought my friend who had never been to church. All the preacher did was talk about money. And so there's a negative presumption around a lot of us. And so how do you create a positive presumption? You do it by going the second mile in what we're doing in the community. And again, we're not doing it as a way to manipulate. We're doing it as a way of philosophy that, you know what? The more God blesses us with, then let's give away a lot of what God is blessing us with. Let's help those kids with debilitating diseases that just break your heart. And you go in and you find out that a stretcher for a child in that hospital that they put them on when they come in, that bed is $27,000. But you see, that bed weighs them, and that bed even takes their temperature for them at Children's Hospital in Atlanta. And all of a sudden you begin to understand, well, that's why it costs so much, because they give medication to children based on how much they weigh. And so I learned so many things there. And so when you're aligning with organizations like that, I call it the halo effect. And the halo effect of a great organization is going to shine down on you. It's going to help to create positive presumption in that community. So when you're doing second mile service, it's just flat out, you know, it's helping you to be able to create that image in the community that's going to make people want to do business with you.
Yep. So when we talk about second mile service, for example, when the buyer's looking to buy a home, Dr. Ike, most real estate agents, they're just emailing them homes that the buyers can see online. Because as technology becoming more and more advanced, the moment the house is available for sale, it gets syndicated to over 15,000 end user websites. So here at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, we teach the real estate agents to not only we show homes that the buyers can see online. Every day, we focus on looking for homes that match your criteria that you cannot see online. See, and so second mile service is basically what you are saying is doing something that the clients don't expect. They don't expect you.
Exactly.
Right? All right, so as we continue this conversation, you guys chime in at any time. What's an example of second mile service that you can apply right now, right? So here, from the corporate perspective, Dr. Ike talked about we partner up with Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, for example, over the past 6 years. We'll harvest, Dr. Ike, I came from Indonesia. First, I came to United States in 1997. And I remember back home, we have a lot of people that couldn't go to school. So that's the reason why we partner up with organization World Harvest, for example, to provide education and food, kind of like what you do with mass ministry, but in Indonesia. Because if you want to change the community, Dr. Ike, you know all these terrorists, the reason there's terrorists is because lack of education. So because people just don't know what to do. So in the absence of good things, then the bad things will come in and just take over. So what we do, we change the community. How can we change the community? Through education. Yep. So that's why we partner up with organization, will harvest, build to empower kids in places that they will never be able to go to school. Right? So because if the good guys don't do anything, then obviously the bad wins. Right? Yep. So it's just that's why we do what we do here at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, because there's so much you can do. It's not about the money. Absolutely. I agree. Right? But without the money, with the money we can do a lot of good things.
You're exactly right. And Rudy, I think most people want to be able to give more. They want to be able to make a difference. And you'll notice there the little quote from me, that a community loves on those who love on their community. We do that as a church. One of the things that we do is we raise money in February. We do something every single month, but it has to be outside of our church, what we're doing, because this is for our community. So in February, we raise money that month, and we take that money and we buy iPads for the special needs teachers in our school systems, because children with autism can learn so much more effectively by having an iPad. This week, we spent thousands of dollars to go to the schools now while they're closed down, knowing a new school year is going to start. And we bought for them the sensory equipment that they wouldn't have been able to afford and they didn't have money for in their school budget. So we bought that equipment because we can go in and help to create these rooms in the schools where these children can learn so much more effectively. And we've probably given away at least 70 or 80 iPads, and iPads are not cheap. And my favorite picture that I got was a teacher sent me a picture of the child with the iPad that has autism, that cannot speak and communicate. And the child was at McDonald's being able to show them what they wanted to eat on that iPad when they took them on a field trip. Can you imagine being a child and you know what you want to eat, but there's not a way that you can communicate it? But here's a technology advance that gives you that opportunity. In September, we do Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and we raise money for pediatric cancer patients. Right now, we're raising money and we're doing backpacks. We're doing over 300 backpacks for kids, fully loaded with everything they're going to need for school. And we go out and we give these out. We work with the schools in our area. They tell us how many students they have. And so we go out to those schools. And imagine, and here was my deal, Rudy. Everybody talks about how churches always talk about money, right? And so you hear it, well, the church just talks about money. One of my core values for Piedmont Church is we will be known for how much we give rather than how much we ask for. And that's one of our core values. We're going to give because we give our facilities there. The schools are there almost every day of every week, because here you have this huge campus, hundreds of thousands of square feet. Why should it sit there empty and only be used on a Sunday and a Wednesday night? Why not bring your community in? And so all of that creates positive presumption for us as a church. It's second mile service. People expect us to keep up our grounds and make things look nice, but when you're inviting them in, when you're creating setting spaces for them on your campus and putting up your sign, walkers welcome, letting people know, hey, we want you to come here and do this, because I saw where they arrested a lady the other day in California because she was sitting on a church lawn. And I thought, how bizarre, how bizarre. Somebody wants to sit down and take a breather and sit on your lawn. They're not going to kill your grass. It would have been a lot nicer to hear a story about how people went out, found out maybe she was homeless, and they helped her to get to a shelter, or somebody brought her out some food, or somebody brought her out some water. And so it's just learning to make your thinking that kind of thinking, and that is your core value number two. It's the empower and inspiring others.
Yeah, so let's move. Yeah, core value number two, Dr. Ike, is to empower and inspire others. Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, those are absolute keys. One of my quotes is in there: rules without relationship lead to rebellion. The first time I heard that utilized, there's a guy named Josh McDowell. Josh is a Christian apologist, and he wrote a book years ago called More Than a Carpenter. And Josh is just brilliant. But he was in my church speaking, and he was talking about his children. And he was telling parents, when all you try to do is have rules and you don't have a relationship, one day those kids are going to rebel. One day they're going to be old enough to look at you and go, you know what? I'm done and I'm out of here. And so that's why you want to be building those relationships. That's why you want to keep those promises, Rudy. That's why you want to be there for them and do the very best that you can when it comes to empowering the people around you by them knowing that you're going to be there for them. So helping your team to be able to model empowerment right there, going out and volunteering. If you have a big road race in your community, taking your team out to be volunteers, not to necessarily run in the road race. We do one at Must each year, Rudy. We do it on Thanksgiving morning, and we have over 10,000 runners that come out. We couldn't possibly pull off 10,000 runners and their families if it weren't for all the volunteers. And you know what? They're giving up a Thanksgiving morning. And so we have people like Lockheed Airline, Lockheed Air. They send out a team that helps to work. Home Depot sends out an orange apron team. They come out and help us work the event. And so you find ways like that to be able to build relationships. It's a great thing. And then, of course, we've already talked about trust is the key factor. And again, that word, a healthy organizational atmosphere. And there's the quote. And by the way, if you're ever having to change something and it's major, I would recommend 2 books. The Speed of Trust, which is where I get that line from, that the level of trust determines the speed of change in an organization. And it's written by Stephen Covey's son. So the guy who wrote 7 Habits, his son wrote the book on trust. And then there's a book by a man named John Kotter that is a professor at Harvard University. And he writes all about change, leading change, and all these great books. One book he did is a metaphorical book about penguins, and he calls it Our Iceberg is Melting. That is the single best book, not the penguin one, but the leading change that I've ever read. And I've had to go in and change organizations, and that book is my model. Because the first thing, if you're going to change something, you have to create a sense of urgency. That's his number one thing. You create a sense of urgency because it's so hard to get people to move unless you're giving them a compelling reason to move. There's another law in thermodynamics, the law of inertia. An object at rest will tend to stay at rest till an object of greater force comes along. So, that's just major, the whole thing with trust. And of course, encouragement and self-improvement going hand in hand. As we get better, the organization gets better. That's why I love learning organizations. I love to be around organizations that just do incredible things. And I'm sitting here convicted because I need to do more of that with my own organization. When you're a church and you're a 501c3, you don't really spend a lot of money on those kinds of areas. So I call in a lot of favors sometimes with people to come in and to do things. But finding ways to be able to do that as an organization, I think is very important. Again, empowerment is when the team members know that you're investing in them and they see that it's happening. And empowerment is feedback. There's a term in psychology called groupthink. And groupthink is when people just, there's a dominant idea and people just go, okay, yeah, let's do that. And yet they've got some real misgivings about doing it, and it's ruined so many things. It actually happened to John Kennedy when he was president of the United States. There was the issue of Cuba and the whole thing with Russians having missiles there and everything. And so a group of people came to John Kennedy and said, we can go in there and we can overthrow the government. And so they basically turned their backs on some things, allowed that group to go in and do it. And they failed miserably. It's called the Bay of Pigs. And it was an embarrassment to the United States. It was certainly an embarrassment to President Kennedy. And when President Kennedy called back in his top military advisors who had been there when they made that decision, and he said, what went wrong? 2 or 3 of them spoke up and said, well, we could have told you it was going to go wrong. And he said, then why didn't you tell me that? They said, because you presented it as, this is what I'm going to do. And we were thought that we were just brought in to carry out what you wanted to happen. And that's a classic case of groupthink, one dominant idea, because people don't push back. When you empower people in the organization, they know they got the right to be able to speak up. They know that their voice is being heard. And all of us want to feel like our voice is being heard. So, so that's a big one as well, Rudy. I don't want to go too long here, so you got to guide me on things.
No, that's good. That's good. So we want to make sure everybody understands, because Dr. Ike, I'm not sure if you know, here, your home sold guaranteed realty in California, we just launched this company January 2020, so 7 months ago. And today, July 15, 2020, we have about 20 team leaders in different locations throughout California. So what we are doing today, it's really important because we want to make sure that we attract, because we have a lot of application. People want to join your home sold guaranteed realty. So what we are doing with this video, we're going to post it. So we want to attract people that embrace our core values. And at the same time, we want to repel people that don't believe this. So this is a good conversation.
I'm glad to get to be a part of it. Rudy, when you came to Atlanta, did you get to go down to Chick-fil-A headquarters and do that behind the scenes thing? I got to line up there.
No, my wife and I, we missed it.
Okay, so sometime when you come to Atlanta, let me know, and I'll try to get with someone down there to get y'all to go through and to see, because so much of what we're talking about, Chick-fil-A embodies in what they do, and how they're trying to genuinely build a goodwill relationship. Chick-fil-A is helping to rebuild the west side of Atlanta right now, and they're doing it without regentrifying the area. Because so many times you'll use the term, well, we're going to regentrify the area, and then they push out all the residents who've been there. And that's not fair. And so Chick-fil-A actually came and put a Chick-fil-A in the neighborhood. And so they're bringing in other businesses so that people are getting jobs and they're able to afford their homes and all of those kinds of things. So they're very intentional. They get criticized primarily because they have a Christian foundation to their business, and their mission statement says, we glorify God in whatever we do. And for some people, they just feel like that's too much in your face. And I think they get pushback sometimes because of that. And if they could and I won't say look beyond, I'm a minister, but if they understood the true heart of what Chick-fil-A does, how many students have gotten to go to college because of working at Chick-fil-A? The lessons that they learn. One of my board members at Musk was a part of what's called ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange. They own the New York Stock Exchange, Chicago, London, Tokyo. That's what they do. And he's the chief financial officer, and he's amazing, and this company is incredible. He got his start working at Chick-fil-A. And the other day we went out together, and Chick-fil-A was helping us to feed a bunch of those kids that I was telling you about. We have Chick-fil-A Day. And he told me, he said, I learned so much of who I am working for them and seeing it modeled every day, that it wasn't just some piece of paper we stuck on a wall, but this is genuinely the way that people guided their decision making. And so, those things are so important. That's why I love what you do. The amount of time that you spend doing it on this is incredible. It really, really is.
Yeah, thank you. And Dr. Ike, when maybe after all this coronavirus, I don't know when it's gonna kind of cool down a little bit, maybe we can need your help to arrange a time for your home sold guaranteed here in California to visit Chick-fil-A. That would be awesome if you can arrange with some of their leadership there, so we can learn how to continue to build the best place to work, buy, and sell real estate.
We'll do that, and you get free lunch while you're there, Rudy. So I'm always up for a free lunch, and you'll get to see how Chick-fil-A is evolving. Again, that's one of their key things is reinvent. So they went from their offices being the typical old style office to now it's open cubicles, it's glassed in space, it's shared space. It's pretty amazing to go there. And it's a car museum because Mr. Cathy, that was one of his great loves, was automobiles. And he actually has one of the original Batman mobiles there. So we'll put you in that and get your picture, Rudy. Be sure and wear black, you know, you'll be ready for it.
Thank you. So, Dr. Ike, let's end this session with this. So, you as the Chief People Officer for one of the Fortune 500 companies, before you lead that organization to be the best place to work in America. So, let's talk about the core values. It's not just something we put up on the wall, but can you share on to inspire HT members that this is something that we take seriously? In fact, here at your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, we hire and we fire people based on the core values. Can you share, based on your experience, how important it is to, you know, make sure we live through it, we breathe through it, the core values? This is not something pretty we just put up on the wall here.
Absolutely, Rudy. I guess I'm speaking too quick there. I heard an echo. When I work with organizations on establishing their mission, their vision, and let me kind of pause there, and I'll come back to this. I take them to values before I ever take them to work on their mission statement and their vision statement. I start with core values, because core values is who you are. The core values are the things that do not change. Those are things that are sacred. Your mission shouldn't change in your organization. You know, you should be glued to that mission, because it's so easy to get mission drift. And the way that you don't get mission drift is you make sure your core values. Now, for me, when I'm helping an organization, I'll take their core values and let's say, because it's number one for everyone, integrity. People will go, integrity is the number one core value. And I always go, okay, tell me in a room full of people, what is integrity to you? You get a bunch of different answers about what integrity is. So I like it when you can put an action sentence to it. And so for me, integrity is always do the right thing. Just do the right thing. And most of the time, people are going to know what the right thing is. And if you make up your mind ahead of time, then you're not making a decision, you're managing a decision that's already been made. And when you stick to your values, and again, whatever those values are, is it integrity, is it character, you know, whatever they are, I try to get people not to have more than about 7 of them. But, you know, like for instance, at Must, one of our core values is serve, because we serve people in our organization. So the way we have our action sentence to that is love all and serve all. Love all. We don't care what background the person is coming from. We don't care what lifestyle they may be a part of. If they have a need, we're going to be there to help meet that need in the life of that person. And if that love all, serve all sounds familiar, that's the slogan for the Hard Rock Cafe. And so I thought, you can't beat the Hard Rock Cafe on that slogan, and it says everything. We're going to love everybody that comes through. We're going to serve everybody. Does it make any difference if I'm gay? No, it does not. Does it make any difference if I'm a Muslim? No, it does not. Does it make any difference if I've got, my green card, or if I've got this or I've got that? No, it does not. We serve everybody we can. Our mission statement at Must is to serve our neighbors in need. So our mission is very clear for us. So, you know, what's the difference between a mission statement and a vision statement? Some people have both, some people only have one, but here's what the difference would be. A vision statement is the overarching for your organization, a vision statement. A vision statement is very aspirational. Remember that word is aspirational. Mission statement is perspirational. It's the hard work you do every day to carry out that vision. So our overarching deal for us, our vision statement at Must Ministries is that we want to be Georgia's most respected servant leader. So what do we do every day? We serve our neighbors in need. That's what we do. And we base how we serve our people, our clients, off of these values. And then look at the mission here to help you achieve your heart's desire. See, for me, that's Psalms 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. And that's a mission. That's a very worthy mission. And then the vision is that to be the best place to work, buy, and sell real estate in California. Does carrying out that mission statement every day help you to achieve that vision statement? You better believe it. Because if you're helping people achieve their dreams, then they're going to help you achieve your dreams and being that best place to work, buy, and sell real estate. Listen, you're going to spend 60 to 65% of your waking hours being at work, coming home from work, going to work. And in Los Angeles traffic, when there's normal times, it may even be 85% of your time is spent doing that. So why not create a workplace that's a great place to go to every day, that you actually enjoy? And I think one of the great ironies that has come out of the pandemic is people missed their coworkers far more than they ever thought that they would. They really missed them. And you know, people have done so much to help people. I have a buddy down in Texas, Rudy, and his family owns a lot of car dealerships. It's called Sewell. If any of your teams ever lived in Texas, they probably heard of Sewell Automotives. And I got to meet him when I was at Home Bank because John Maxwell brought a team of people to Home Bank, and I spoke for John a lot, and John had me to speak to this group. It was a very small group that John had of people who paid major dollars to spend a year with him, and he would set up different things for them to do. And so he brought them to Home Bank to see how we operated. So John included me in his book on There's No Such Thing as Business Ethics. And he talked about the job that I had there. But one of the people that came with him was Colin Sewell. And so Colin and I got to be buddies. And then Colin brought me in to come. So I would travel down to Texas and I would help do training for them, spend time with them. I helped them make decisions on people getting moved up in the organization. And then when tough times came, I helped to walk Colin through those tough times, you know, in a personal relationship with him. He's an amazing guy. So he started this thing where he rents out the Civic Center down in Odessa, Texas. And he brings in John Maxwell and he brings in other speakers and they fill up this Civic Center. It's his gift to his community. And so this year with COVID, they couldn't do it. And so he decided to go a different direction. And so what he did was he created this event, and John Maxwell kicked off the week. And then they had a guy named Jeff Henderson. Jeff's with North Point Church, which runs 40,000 people a week in their services. And Jeff also worked for Chick-fil-A for years. So Jeff had just written a new book about his time at Chick-fil-A and how it works. So he had him, he had in Andy Andrews. Andy wrote The Traveler's Gift, has been on Good Morning America numerous times, an amazing writer. If you like nonfiction that's inspiring and encouraging and you're learning something, Andy Andrews is the guy. So they had all, and they had me, and then one other person that was a part of that that's escaping my mind right this second. But what they did is they had us on, and I did a live like I'm doing with you. And then they turned around and gave away the book that I did with Zig, because Zig, you know, is a Texan, and people love him down there. And they gave away over 1,000 books that Zig and I did in that event. And you can even go and watch it on Sewell Automotive. But I watched this guy do the right thing. And I've watched him just continually build this company. And now they're a great place to work in the automotive world. That's what he brought me in to do. Can you help us to become a great place to work in the automotive industry? And so over those years, they have a training facility that's amazing, where they do everything. But to see companies like that, to see companies like you, I can't tell you what it means to me, because I've sat on the other side with people, their hearts broken by the companies that they worked for. And just walk in one day and suddenly the company, tells you that you're no longer there, that you're expendable. One of my people came to me that works for a nationally known company, and they laid him off after 28 years. And you know what? You know how they listed it? Excess inventory. His life was listed as excess inventory. And he was just so defeated, because that corporate world can be a tough place. So when you see people doing it right and you see them succeeding, it inspires me, Rudy, every time I'm around you and your precious wife, to spend time with you guys is always a blessing. So any way I can ever serve you, doing things like this or whatever, buddy, I'm there. And you guys know, and I've told you this before, if you ever need me, feel free to call me. My number is an easy one. It's 770-365, 365 days in a year, 9797. And always know that you can give me a call. Rudy does, and I appreciate that. And I do look forward, when things are better, Rudy, to get to come back out and hang out with you for a day. I've never seen anyone cram as much into a day as you do. That was unbelievable, man. I think I slept all the way back home on the plane that night. I was just collapsed.
Yeah, you guys, if you missed it, Dr. I actually visit your home sold guaranteed Realty last year, or yeah, I think last year in Monrovia, when we did our company's conference there. We always crowded, Dr. I. So can you imagine now, like we cannot even have people. So I'm a high I, so I like to be surrounded by people. So this coronavirus is like, oh my. So the closest we can do is what we are doing now. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your passion about to raise the next leaders here at your home sold guaranteed Realty, because that's what we are. The only way we can make a difference in the world, right? Dr. Ike, you told me last time, Rudy, your business is not for you. Right, is for others. So the only way we can do that is to continue to grow and develop leaders. And so that's why we are so excited here to raise the next generation of leaders. So thank you for your time. Do you guys have any either a point of clarification as Dr. I going through literally line by line on our core values here? And then we're gonna take a quick group picture. So if you can turn on your camera, so we're gonna take a group picture after this. Usually if you are here live, we're gonna hug you and stuff like that, but now, well, this is the closest thing to hug. We can give you a virtual hug. So let's open up, you guys. Do you have anything to clarify to Dr. Ike? Any question, comments, anything?
Now, Rudy, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think living a good, healthy life for Dr. Ike, he gets younger every year we see him.
Boy, I love that. I've lost some more poundage. That helps, I guarantee you.
Okay, so thank you. Let's take a group picture here. Let's do this. Once again, thank you for your time. And one day, as soon as coronavirus cool down a little bit, we will definitely visit Atlanta, go to your office there and visit Chick-fil-A. So thank you for arranging that. That would be really awesome.
God bless you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.